Welcome back to Cloud 2K, and this is the Cloud Report. Today on the Cloud Report, we're talking about the Golden State Warriors, a team that is completely fell off the cliff from the way they started the season. This is a team that is now 20-20 on the season, down to the 11th seed after they started the season as the 2 seed. Steph Curry was playing amazing. Andrew Wiggins was playing really good. Draymond Green was still playing his role pretty well. Tracy Jackson-Davis was playing pretty well. Buddy Hield, the first few weeks of the season, literally could not miss. He was phenomenal, but that's the whole Buddy Hield cycle. We know it. We don't love it. We kind of hate it, actually, especially if you're a fan of a team that has Buddy Hield on it. You hate the cycle that Buddy Hield gets you, but it is what it is. This Warriors team, man, they're just bad. They're bad, and from the way people on the team are talking, they have no real way going forward. There is a real chance we have seen the last ever Steph Curry ring. That's a crazy thing to say, but I mean, he's 36 years old now. But the fact that, look, they won in 2022, and that 2022 championship run was, I think, a run a lot of fans got behind. And obviously, if you're a Celtics fan, you were not very happy with that. But I think a lot of the fans in the NBA were, excited and really happy that the Golden State Warriors won after the couple years of turmoil between the 2019 season where they lost to the Raptors in the finals. With all the injuries of Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant leaves the team. Steph Curry went through his 2019-2020 season. He only played 5 games before he broke his hand. They drafted James Wiseman. That was just not good. So they went through a lot of turmoil for about a 3-year stretch until finally Steph Curry kind of not reformed himself, but kind of rejuvenated himself back into his prime form. And Andrew Wiggins was a phenomenal player throughout that entire run. They had some moments from Moses Moody, from Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond Green, and they ended up beating the Celtics in the finals. And I think a lot of people were like, oh my God, after 2 to 3 down years of the Warriors, they are back. They're ready to compete for the next few years ahead. And it hasn't been that. And from the way it's looking, it's not going to be that. Right now, in the last 10 games, because the way they started the season was really good, but the last 10 games, this team has the number, 21st offense. Not very good, especially when you've got Steph Curry on your team. Defensively, they are 14th. So still middle of the pack defensively, bottom 10 of the league offensively. They just don't have a lot going on for them right now. And in these last 10 games are 5-5, I believe. They don't have a lot going on for them. Steph Curry is having probably his worst season since that season in 2019-2020 where he only played 5 games, broke his hand. He's averaging about 23-ish points, about 5 total rebounds, about a little bit over 6 assists. Is shooting a career high from the free throw line at 193.7. So, I mean, that's cool. He's shooting 41% from 3. Steph Curry, we already know him. He's the greatest shooter of all time. So him shooting 40+% from 3 is not anything crazy. And it's on 4.5 attempts, which is actually the lowest since 2019-2020. So just all around is having his worst year since 2020. And he's had multiple games where he has struggled and scored single-digit amount of points. And Steph Curry is still one of the best point guards in the league. He's still a phenomenal player in this league, but he's definitely taken a bit of a step back from the absolute superstar, world trend-setting guy that he was back in his prime. And that's okay. Again, he's 36 years old. This is going to happen. The problem is, the Warriors have done almost nothing to really help out this team in the past couple of years. They, after the multiple injuries with Klay Thompson, he just wasn't really that good anymore. They let him walk into free agency. They tried to trade for Lauri Markkanen. Apparently, reports came out that Draymond Green's the one that said no, they don't want to do that. They were in a position to get Paul George. That doesn't happen. He goes to Philadelphia, which, maybe now they're not that upset that he went to Philadelphia, but still, that was a way for them to get better. And then it's you draft Jonathan Kuminga, or no, let's take a step back. You draft James Wiseman, 2nd overall, in a draft class that had Anthony Edwards that went 1. You weren't going to get Anthony Edwards unless you trade up. You take James Wiseman at 2, and then at 3 goes LaMelo Ball. I'm sorry. And it's you had no way of knowing. And at the time, the James Wiseman fit seemed more like it because he was a center. They needed a center. Throughout the years of the Warriors being as great as they were, they always had the fine role player centers that just came in and did the dirty work and did their job. And that's not what James Wiseman was. So a lot of people were like, okay, the fit might be a little bit weird, but still, they need a center. And that didn't work out. That did not work out at all. This season's been weird. Andrew Wiggins has been a lot better this year after the past 2 years of him not being very good at all. Again, Steph Curry has still been really good, but he's had some more stinkers than, kind of what we usually expect from Steph Curry. Draymond Green is just 34 now. His impact is really heavily declining. And at this point in time, Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody have a bit of a hold over this Warriors team. Not really Moses Moody as much, but between Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, AirPods, Tracy Jackson Davis. Tracy Jackson Davis, I think, is fine. I think he could, as a guy that could be on this team. Jonathan Kuminga started off the season kind of hit or miss, and then really started picking it up, and has now been out for, the past week, or missed the last 6 games, severe ankle sprain. But, like, he kind of showed, okay, maybe Kuminga could be a part of this team. But the problem is this Warriors team has constantly tried to do this not constantly, but since I'd say 2021, where they got the high pick with James Wiseman, they've been trying to leverage this 2-timeline system where it's like, we still have Steph Curry, we had Klay Thompson, we have Draymond Green. That's the big 3 that we won our championships with. But we're also going to draft these guys like James Wiseman, like Kuminga, like Moody, like Tracy Jackson Davis, like AirPods. And it's like we're going to try to develop them at the same time we're trying to win championships with our veteran big 3. The problem was it worked in 2022. Steph Curry was phenomenal and it worked in 2022. But in that run, James Wiseman wasn't playing. Kuminga and Moody barely played at all. And that was before the days of Tracy Jackson Davis and AirPods. So it's like your young guys didn't really help out in your run. And then we've seen it now. It's not really working out. So a lot of people are like, okay, Steph Curry is now, like I said, 36 years old. You want to try and trade some of your young pieces to consolidate them, trade them somewhere to try to get another star in, again, like the Lauri Markkanen thing, like the Paul George thing, in theory, to try to win Steph Curry a 5th championship before he retires, because he said in interviews himself he's only got a couple years left. There's probably 2 to 3 years left of Steph Curry, which is, it's sad to think about, it's crazy to think about, but it's just, it's the fact of it. And, you say that, but then you have people in the Warriors organization, including Steph Curry, including Draymond Green, including Steve Kerr, that say, we don't really know about that. Draymond Green came out and said, the beautiful part about being in the space that we're in is Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and myself all disagree with mortgaging off the future of this organization, saying that we're going for it right now. Bad teams do that. Bad organizations do that. We're not either one. I think you're a bad team and a bad organization. You're a bad team now, obviously, with the way you guys have fell off. But you're a bad organization if you're refusing to capitalize on having a borderline still top 10 player in this league, however you want to look at it. Or if you don't look at Curry top 10, he's no less than top 20. Like, you still have a superstar point guard, and you're refusing to help him out to win one more championship. I don't think Curry's going to request a trade. It doesn't seem like it. I think Curry's going to be a lifetime Warriors guy. But it's very obvious that this team has no plans on upgrading this team. They bring in Buddy Hield. You bring in a couple role players. Again, Buddy Hield for the first couple weeks of the season is going to look phenomenal. It's like, okay, we really have something going here. But then Buddy Hield falls off. The rest of the team falls off. And now it just doesn't look good at all. This team just does not look good to watch. And with having Steph Curry, that's a very, very sad thing. Steve Kerr came out, made a comment. He was, on a radio show, 98.5 The Game. I just have a quote up here. Steve Kerr admitted the Warriors' star duo are aging and that the franchise is currently declining due to its disjointed roster construction. The quote is, "We are on the decline. We know that. Steph, Dre, and I have talked about it. It would be so irresponsible for this franchise to trade everything away for one final swing at a title," Kerr said. "The discussion has been had, and I'm so impressed with these guys and how much they care about the Warriors' future." That just is... Maybe this is just me, but that just seems so strange to me. If you're Steph Curry, I get it, man. I'm going to say himself. Obviously, he had Klay Thompson, he had Draymond, even Kevin Durant for a short amount of time. This Warriors team was at $300 million when he was drafted. That's what the franchise was worth. They're now over $7 billion. They're worth over $7 billion, and 90% of that is Steph Curry. And the fact that they don't seem to have a problem with Curry's last few years just being him trying his best on a mid-tier play-in team is just ridiculous to me. Now, I understand it's new management now. Bob Myers is gone. This is now Mike Dunleavy Jr. And Mike Dunleavy Jr., mouthful there, it seems like he's like, well, I can't lose a trade if I don't make a trade. And while, sure, I guess, technically, you not making trades is still you losing because you're not making this team better. This is a very, very competitive Western Conference. And if this team is Paul George, if this team is Lauri Markkanen, do I look at them as a contender? Probably not. But the fact that you haven't even tried, you didn't even try, that just speaks a lot to where this organization is at this point in time. They're not well ran anymore. And listen, I don't know. I think with Steph Curry still being on your team and still being pretty damn good, thinking about the future past Steph Curry just doesn't really make sense in my mind. It just doesn't. I don't think they're going to trade Steph Curry. So again, they just want Steph Curry to sit there and rot for the next 2 to 3 years before he said, all right, I'm done. It doesn't make sense, man. Growing up, I wasn't a big Curry fan because I'm a big LeBron fan, so seeing him take down LeBron in the finals, it sucked year in and year out. But as the years have gone on, especially after the 2019 season, they lost Kevin Durant, I really started finding a newfound appreciation for Steph Curry, and I now found myself being a fan of Steph Curry. It sucks, man. We have a lot of older superstars in this league, and between LeBron being on a play-in team or up slightly above play-in team with the Lakers, Steph Curry being a play-in team or fighting for a play-in team, Kevin Durant on the Suns fighting for a play-in team, it's just, it's sad. It's sad the way some of these guys are going out, and some of it's not even because of them themselves, but it's the front office around them not doing the right things to really make this team better. The Suns just traded for Nick Richards. Is that going to make a huge difference? No, but they tried something. The Lakers, they traded D'Angelo Russell for Dorian Finney-Smith. Is it going to mean a lot? Probably not, but it's something. This Warriors team isn't really doing anything. Now, the February 6th trade deadline, something could happen, but the way they're talking, I don't see anything happening. So we are here to answer our fan question, and today's question is from Levi, Tennessee. Do the Cavs have a legit chance to trade for Cam Johnson? So the Cavs have, they just lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think it's pretty clear now the Thunder are on like a different level than the Cavs, than the Celtics. And again, it's still, we're halfway through the season. By the time we get to the playoffs, these guys won't meet until the finals, obviously, because they're in the East, or the West and the East, obviously. But the Oklahoma City Thunder just seemed like such a good team. And after this beatdown, they're like, you know what? The Cavs' mind are like, let's go look to the Brooklyn Nets, who have already traded Dennis Schroeder, who have already traded Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, let's go look for Cam Johnson. He's a 6'8" forward. He can play the 3. He can play the 4. Like, he could be in line. It could be Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Cam Johnson, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. And that could be your lineup because they've kind of struggled over the past few years trying to find that 3, whether it's Max Strus, whether it's Isaac Okoro, whether it's Karis LeVert, Sam Morril. They just have really been trying to find that 3, and it just hasn't really happened. And Cam Johnson would be the best of that bunch. I have always been kind of skeptical, and I feel like I've said it a few times on this channel about Cam Johnson. He's a very, very good player. He's been a good player since he was in Phoenix, since he's got to Brooklyn, but he's obviously having a career-high season because his opportunity is through the roof, averaging 19.5 points, shooting 43% from 3. Now, this is a guy that has always been a good three-point shooter, and maybe that's just what the Cavs want right now, a guy that can sit in the wing, sit in the corner, can hit threes, and can also, he's shown the ability to handle the ball, especially now in Brooklyn. A guy that if Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, or one of them's off the court, could be another ball handler on the court and can kind of create shots for himself as well. Do I think it's realistic? I don't know. I don't really understand, I don't really know what they're going to trade. He's under contract for 2 more years, earning $22.5 million for this season. I don't really know where they could find the money. Is it Karis LeVert money as well? I don't know. I don't know really where this money's going to come from. They have some second-round picks. They've already said they don't want to trade their core pieces. I'm going to look here on Fanspell and see if anybody has any trades drawn up for this, because I guess in my head, I'm trying to figure out who, because off the top of my head, I don't really know the contract situation, but what kind of money do they have right here? Enough for Cam Johnson is literally the first one that popped up here. So shout out Fanspo. This guy is S/General. Enough for Cam Johnson. We're just going to look at it. He has Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, a 2025 second round pick via Milwaukee, 2027 second round pick, a first round in 2030, and a first round in 2031, which you already can't do that because that's back-to-back first round picks. But whatever. But it's for Cam Johnson, Trenton Watford, and 2030 first round pick. I don't think you get a first round pick back from the Nets in this trade. And I mean, I guess Karis LeVert and Georges Niang make the money work. And then like 2 second round picks. It can't be 2030 and 2031, but they can figure that out. Maybe that's something they do. The Nets, they're obviously going to value the first round picks, even though they are going to be like probably in the mid to late 20s every year, because this Cavaliers team is good and still pretty damn young. Karis LeVert, on the last year of his contract, and kind of let him go. Georges Niang has 1 more year left on his contract, but it's only $8 million. So it's like not anything too crazy. I don't think they're giving up Trenton Watford either. Like I said, Trenton Watford and a first round pick from the Nets aren't going to be in this trade. Is this realistic? Sure. Sure, but I do think it comes to a point where this Cavs team is so good. Obviously, they've lost these past 2 games. I don't know if they're going to want to bring in a guy like Cam Johnson, who's definitely going to change up the flow. They might just try to work on some bench trades. You know what I mean? Like, instead of swinging, I say swinging for the fence. Cam Johnson's not like anything crazy, but Cam Johnson feels like one of those guys that it's like he is going to kind of shake up the rotation a little bit because he deserves the ball in his hand. He deserves the shots. Where they might try to find some guys on the back end, on the bench. I don't really know. Do I think what was your original question? Do they have a legit chance? Sure. Yeah, it's going to be Karis LeVert. You might have to give up Jalen Tyson as well, and I don't know if the Cavs are going to want to do that. But I appreciate you guys watching this episode of the Cloud Report. We just hit 300 subscribers today as I'm recording this. I want to thank each and every single one of you. Over 300 people have now watched my channel, a video, and said, you know what, I'll subscribe to see what this guy's talking about. And listen, 2025 is going to be a great year, and it starts with you going down, hitting the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment what team, if you want me to talk about your team next week, I'll do that. And yeah, appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.